So we'll start the session here. So it's again a very special day for us because this time we've invited Naveen. Naveen is the fund manager and the founder of ITUS Capital and has been into existence since 2013 onwards. In fact, he's the only fund manager in India who has worked with large organizations like Lehman Brothers and also saw that the debacle of Lehman Brothers happening. So that gave him more wisdom to manage risk more effectively while managing the client's portfolio. So Naveen brings about almost more than 17 years of experience on the table when it comes to fund management. In fact, he won many awards as the best fund manager while working with large organizations in abroad, and he's got presence in India and US both as far as PMS in India is concerned. And he's did his engineering from Bangalore. I think that was Bits Pilani, and also did his MBA from IIM Bangalore before starting up this career in the fund management. So I have been personally observing and monitoring the performance of the scheme, and I must say that Naveen is really able to manage both the downside risk very well, at the same time able to participate in the equity markets before time and is ahead of others in terms of delivering alpha in the strategy. So today what we'll do is we'll spend some time, understand more from him that how is he managing funds, and then first question comes from my end. This is my observation, so I just wanted to check with you. So we saw that during the downturn when the COVID happened, I saw that your portfolio was doing very well. It protected the downside well, and when it was coming up, it came up very well. So how do you manage to do so?
So I think if you look back on the portfolio style, right? I mean, obviously COVID was a reason for the sell-off, but I mean indices fell anywhere between 30 to 37% over the 3 months from Jan to March 2020, right? And we were already overweight pharma well before COVID, right? We had significant exposure in API manufacturing. We had significant exposure in CRMO and CRAMS and CDMO. Now, we did not have exposure because we thought COVID would come. We had exposure because these businesses were generating cash flows. They were growing consistently on the back of internal accruals, and their return on capital was north of 20%. Right? So when COVID hit, right, these businesses effectively gave us a significant cushion on the downside. So we did have banks. We owned HDFC Bank, and in March 2020, if you remember, because that was the time when Aditya Puri sold his entire stake as well, right? So we took a lot of flack because we increased our exposure in HDFC Bank at that point of time, right? So it was extremely uncomfortable for people because the economy was coming to a stall, not just in India but globally, right? You were talking about NBFCs who had collection ratios of 95%, dropping it down to 32% in a single month. But when we went and did the due diligence on the ground, spoke to the bankers, spoke to the DSA agents, right? The loan book, you wanted to always buy the lender with the best quality loan book. And that is why HDFC Bank was important for us. Along with that, when Shashi took over, there was a lot of both ex-employees as well as, I'm not talking about employees today, I'm talking about employees who've been in the bank since 95, when they built out the retail franchise, right? Because Shashi has been in the franchise for a very, very long time. People have seen Shashi in the franchise around how he's led the company. And he's always been a process-oriented person. And for a bank, I can tell you one thing, having seen a bankruptcy live, a process and risk management is everything. So once we got comfortable around the person and some of the loan book delinquencies on the ground, along with the stressed scenario of what could go wrong, HDFC Bank at around 850 rupees, which is where we aggressively scaled up the position, reflected the risk that the market was already pricing in. We didn't think there was too much of downside from there. So for us, it's always a question of risk reward at any point of time. So to go back to your question, how did we protect value? I think one part of the portfolio was protected because of the kind of businesses we owned in pharma. And on the upside, we actually had a reasonable upside pickup because we owned exchanges back then. We had a significant exposure in IT bar tech, which did well for us. And pharma cushioned us on the downside. So that is with the benefit of hindsight, but the core philosophy of it never changed, right? So it's the process that drives the outcome. That's how we think about risk.